Hello and welcome to this review of the Hyundai Bayon that you can see just behind me there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the channel generally, but I have a thing for kind of small cars. I think they've been forgotten about with people's obsessions with crossovers, so let's have a little look around at this car today. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet or liked the channel, please do. So first things first, there's the front of the car. Those lights are yellow and halogeny, but the daytime running lights are nice and bright and white during the day. But something like the Skoda Fabia, which is cheaper and has LED lights, that's a straight up comparison for starters. There's no doubt that Hyundai make better looking cars. Side on profile here, there are still some famous Hyundai creases on the doors because that's what they do. And you can get a two-ton roof in the car as well, and that'll cost you just under €24,000 if that's the version you like. Now my own child, who's 3, was like, "Oh Dad, the back of that car, I'm not sure about that." And I was like, "What's wrong with it?" So the back might be a bit of a love or hate design. Let me give you a closer look and see what you think. Sometimes it kind of reminds me of the car that Walt had in Breaking Bad. just particularly the back design of it anyway. However, I do like this strip along the back. Now you've got a separate brake light up here. But yes, if I was to point out one thing I like about it, it's that red strip. Boot grab handle is kind of weirdly placed under here. It's grand when you know where it is, but the first time you might be searching for it. There's a very large lip here for hauling things in and out of, and there's no grooves down here for a false floor or anything like that. There is, however, a little groove here. There are some shopping bag hooks which I've availed of, and there's a bit of cord here for keeping things a bit secure. And something that might be a positive for you is there's an actual spare wheel and tyre. Although it is a space saver, but still it's better than a can of gunk. Privacy glass is pretty private actually. And in here it's been well used by the people in my house, so there's sandy footprints everywhere. The legroom, if you have the seats a little bit forward, is okay, but if you were to require taller passengers and drivers in the front, the rear leg space might get a bit compromised. Another thing that is handy is they include one USB charger in the back of the car, so all your devices can be charged up nicely. Simple enough design with a up to 10.5-inch touchscreen. The standard is just over 8. Steering wheel feels like a slightly cheaper version of the one that you get in the Tucson. This is a manual gearbox, more about that in a little while, but you can also get an automatic version in this car should you wish. So there are the daytime running lights here. You have a little black high gloss strip on the front and more black gloss going on in the grille down the front of the car. Kind of a cute nose. So my driving position, about 5'10", and I do have leg room. It's not really a problem, and I like that there's somewhere to actually stick your feet. So not the tallest passenger driving, and you're not the tallest passenger in the back, you'll be quite okay. So decent colour, decent resolution on the screen. You can set up your CarPlay or Android. You can do it wirelessly as well for CarPlay. That is a big selling point. If you like physical buttons, you have them all here, including your auto. And depending on spec, you'll have some wireless charging going on, and also heated seats. Again, it's all kind of hard. I've seen the word brittle used. I don't understand that at all, but it's good quality, but hard. But they have made an attempt to put, little grooves and designs and the same on the doors just to make it somewhat different. This is a pattern that you get on these particular seats. It's grand. It's slightly softer than the edges. The rear window looking at the back is quite small, and that middle headrest really does restrict your view. Thankfully, they have included a high quality rear view camera. Now, at night time it's quite grainy, but during the day, as you can see that car driving towards us, it's very, very clear. Dials are colour. You can't swap modes on this car though, so they're the dials you're getting. It does display your speed, zone that you're in here. Very handy for minding the L points. And as you can see from the fuel economy there, it's 7.9 litres per 100 kilometres. You might see 400 kilometres out of a tank. Hyundai sometimes have smaller tanks in them, and the Bayon definitely is one of those cars that fall victim, if that's the right word, to a smaller tank. On the higher executive models, you'll also get a heated steering wheel, and you can activate that from a button down here. They have also included a 12 volt normal standard USB on this side as well, so 2 in the front. You're not getting away with the button. It's a standard handbrake, under armrest space for storage, and if you like your coffee or your hand sanitizer in Hyundai's cases, you can stick a couple of coffee cups down there, although that one in particular is quite small. So it's all pretty clean, pretty simple, fairly straightforward in the car. Last week I was in the Santa Fe, which was quite a more luxurious affair on the inside of the car. So there's lots of black plastic. It's a little bit dark, but as spec goes, and you know, the highest price point is just under 24 grand for this car, you do get a decent amount of stuff like the heated seats, and you know, even the standard spec is okay. But things like halogen headlights in this day and age, particularly when something like the Skoda Fabia has full LEDs, it is something to think about. Pros for the Bayon: it is easy to maneuver around town because it's a small car, easy to park, change lanes, all that stuff. Negative is it's a 5-speed gearbox in the manual, although it is a 4-cylinder engine, so that's good. It's a 1.2. The other thing is it barely pushes out 85 brake horsepower, so it is desperately underpowered in certain situations. Cruising along now at 80 kilometers an hour in the speed limit, we're doing 7.9 litres per 100 kilometers. That's all good. As soon as you need a bit of power to overtake, or you need a bit of power to climb a hill, you know all about it. And I think, even though it's a small car, somewhere around the 100 brake horsepower mark would just be a bit of an advantage. Some of the safety stuff is good, like you get frontal collision avoidance, not getting blind spot on this higher spec model. I do like the fact that it has heated everything. It just makes colder days just slightly more bearable. Visibility is good. I like the seating position. It's nice and low. I mean, in some cases Hyundai would try and dress this as some sort of crossover. It's not. It's a small hatch, and every small hatch in the market has become more expensive, including the Toyota Yaris. I think you need to look at the equipment you're getting for that price. But having very recently reviewed the new Skoda Fabia, which is cheaper than this, but you get a standard in that car for less money, I just keep going back to it, you know. But if you just need a second car run around and you don't need to go anywhere particularly fast, it's fine. But particularly things like the 5-speed gearbox, you're on a motorway, you're doing 120 kilometers an hour, 100, and it's excessively noisy, where you just know if you're in a 6th gear. And to be fair, the Skoda is exactly the same. Just that extra gear would just take some of the noise and the over revving of the engine, where you just feel it's not needed. It does handle very well though, but you just won't be going anywhere particularly fast. And the fact that it's a slightly smaller fuel tank does mean that you might get 400 kilometers out of a tank if you're lucky, but it'll cost you less, especially in today's fuel prices, because there's less to fill. In summary, reasonable spec, a little bit more expensive than some of the competition. Not the best looking duckling there is, let's just be upfront about it. But that Hyundai badge for reliability and robustness should mean that this city car will be with you for as long as you want it to be. It's got a good warranty on it as well. But they do make better looking cars than this, that's for sure.